Hell of a thing. So cops decide to raid a black woman's home, detain her toddler. Detroit police. Here we go. Once again, Detroit in the headline. So at least 10 cops in Detroit wrongly raid a black woman's home. They got guns. They decide to detain her toddler over a license plate reader error. We've been here before. We've reported on these stories. The city is now paying her for her trouble $35,000. The city is robbing her again. $35,000 for that. We'll get into it. Once again, Detroit police already. They have falsely accused a black woman of a crime using the city's multi-million-dollar high-tech surveillance program, resulting in a $35,000 settlement, holistically too low, in my opinion. For the woman that was announced this week, Asoki Robinson was accused in 2023 of participating in a drive-by shooting through the city's license plate reader program simply because she drove a Dodge Charger, which was the car described in the shooting, not because of an actual matching license plate number. Identifying themselves only as the, quote, gang squad. At least 10 Detroit police officers showed up to her home, 5 patrol cars deep, a few hours after the shooting, yelling at her with guns drawn. The cops handcuffed her in front of her home, placed her 2-year-old autistic child, who she said, quote, wouldn't stop crying, in the back of their patrol car as they searched the home and car without a warrant. That's according to the lawsuit filed last year in federal court by Mark A. Magnuson, famed attorney. So after repeatedly asking the cops why were they detaining her and searching her home, one of the cops told her that the car had been involved in a shooting. Quote, I don't know what you're talking about, end quote, she responds. According to an interview with the Detroit Free Press last year, she also told them she has alibis, telling the cops that she spent the day with her family, and the lawsuit states she has no criminal record. Although they did not arrest her, they decided to go ahead and impound her car from her property. Impound her car with her legally registered gun, no connection to this case at all, and purse, which has absolutely nothing to do with anything, which contained her driver's license, credit cards, employment badge. A car manufacturer she works for, Stellantis. She's been there 9 years. Without her car, without her driver's license, without her work badge, she was unable to get to work, placing her in danger of losing her job as an assembly line worker. She had to borrow somebody's truck, a friend, to drive to work. You see, that move alone, that one scenario, potential loss of wages, loss of quality of life, the anxiety. Imagine making that phone call to a friend of yours. I have to borrow your car because I've been raided by Detroit police wrongfully. They think I shot somebody. They think I was in a drive-by. And when they concluded I wasn't, they impounded all of my stuff anyway. It's insane. All right, so despite no evidence, none connecting her to the shooting, they still refused to release her car for 3 weeks. And only because she hired a lawyer who made multiple attempts to get them to return the car before they finally did. Now, I'm going to give you my opinion as to why I think they told told her personal effects, knew that she was not connected to this crime. I think they did this because they did not like what she said while they were raiding the wrong home. They're petty individuals who operate in this way. If you're not petty and you're a cop and you're a good guy, you made a mistake, you apologize. You don't make that person's life even more upside down than you just have. You made a mistake. Somebody may have sent you the mistake. But why make her life worse? Because you're petty. There's more. Put them up, full mass. Listed as defendants in the lawsuit, Detroit Police Chief James White and Detective Dion Corbin, who was leading the investigation into the drive-by shooting that led them to Robinson's home somehow. The man that was later convicted for the non-fatal drive-by shooting had no known connection to Miss Robinson or her car. The incident is the latest in a line of similar incidents that have taken place in Detroit and around the country. We've reported on these scenarios here. Technology like face recognition implying Black people 35% of the time. That's according to Wrongfully. That's according to 2018 ACLU studies. So 2 months ago, we reported on LaDonna Crutchfield. Remember Miss Crutchfield? She spent 8 hours in jail after faulty facial recognition software identified her as an attempted murder suspect. Now she is suing Detroit Police Department for making a false arrest, to which they actually came out with the report and said, yeah, we did. Now, the Detroit police, they're going to say, well, it wasn't the technology. And you may wonder, why would they say it wasn't the technology when clearly the technology was part of their decision calculus? Because the technology implies through its license that you cannot utilize this as basically your sole investigative apparatus. You must engage in actual investigation. So if they're relying on the technology, they are violating the license of use, which also means they are completely negligent and outside of the protocol for how it is applied. So they rather blame themselves and tell you technology did not do this. We just made a mistake. All right, dear brother, thoughts here.
My thoughts are that it wasn't enough that people are racist. It turns out that technology is racist too in 2025 because the people who are creating this technology are racist. If the people who are creating the technology can't tell us apart, then how do we expect that their programming can do so? So we see that, and we've seen this time and time again. You brought up, Dr. Richey, the facial recognition programs. Now let's go to the fact that this young lady who is completely innocent and has been exonerated of all wrongdoing in every single way was punished by fines. And even though we live in a country where we're supposed to be innocent until proven guilty, we see a lot of people are guilty until they prove their own innocent. And even then they're still punished. So how do you punish by fines? You tow the car, you over ticket, overcharge. And we see this a lot of times, especially in minority communities where they overcharge, expecting you to take the plea deal, even if you're innocent, because they're like, you don't have the means to fight back. Well, let me explain something. Justice is not just for the wealthy. And thankfully that she has gone far enough to sue and has received $35,000, which is not nearly enough, by the way, as a judgment in this specific case where her constitutional rights were clearly taken away. But more importantly, this cost the city of Detroit about $20 million every single year. $20 million that, trust me, Detroit does not have. So while we're out there cutting government jobs, how about we cut government abuses?
That's right, well said. And when cops commit violence, it's violence. When cops are corrupt, it's government corruption, all right?